So it's another beautiful day. It's actually cooled off a few degrees out here, which is really, really nice. This whole week they've been telling us cooling trend coming, cooling trend coming. And yesterday we were out directing traffic. It was 89. It didn't feel real cool. So,
With no
Scott,
humidity.
yesterday that I don't know how many times you might have run into, but we got called to a car versus pedestrian, and a woman had run herself over.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
you
How'd she
should
do
write a
that?
script.
she
How did that
she
happen?
was she was backing her car out of a parking spot and hit a shopping cart and got out to look and decided there wasn't a lot of damage. She got back in the car, backed out again, hit it again, got out a second time to look, and left the car in gear, which
Gear.
started rolling backwards. And she ran to try to get in, and the door knocked her down, and the car ran her over. So,
Oh my God.
yeah, she was very, very lucky that her leg was kind of bad, but she will be okay. She won't be tap dancing for a while. But even luckier, it was right at the entrance to a supermarket, and it rolled back and got wedged in a pillar before it hit the door of the supermarket. So thank goodness that pillar was there. Otherwise, I wonder how if the car would have gotten like all the way to the bakery section or what. But it was just
Not
really
a
lucky
drive-in
nobody
store.
walking in the market at that time.
Hey,
And
Bill,
sometimes, yeah,
I've been trying to tell you there are two Bills today, and one of
oh,
them is good looking.
yes, she is. So here I will.
Oh, I didn't change my name.
No,
Okay.
I never figured out how to change a name.
well, we can change it, so be careful. We will. What was really ironic about the thing yesterday is we're just a block away when the call came in, and so you talk about a quick response time. But when I drove up, I see this car, backed into the store, and I see the lady sitting in the road, and I ran over and asked, who hit you? And she goes, I did. And I go, where's the other driver? There was no other driver. I ran myself over. So that was,
I guess she'll sue herself then.
yeah, that's what we were saying yesterday. I don't know who she'll sue, but she'll probably win. But anyway, so I see Darren's got a Mickey Mouse Club up, so we're going to go back to the Disney day today, and we're going to go back to Disneyland. I think the very first shot I had here was 1965. Let me see if I still have that here. 1 second.
Bill, it doesn't matter to me, but I don't see the thing to change names.
Okay, let me look here 1 second. Okay, view profile. No, report mutes. No, I don't see it there for.
I don't know what happened.
Huh, it's weird because I can let's see, I can change.
Oh, wait a minute, maybe here. Oh, here, I got it. I got
Should
it.
be down at the bottom, yeah. I can't change you because you're a co-host and I'm a co-host, but you can change yourself. So what I'm
Okay.
doing today is going back to unsorted pictures that done in the order that I scanned them many, many years ago for Disneyland. And as I was looking through some of them, it really strikes me as how many things have changed at the park over the years. You go there today and, you get the certain things are still there. Obviously you walk up the train stations there, but when you walk up from the very beginning, the whole, parking situation changed, the whole flat entrance plaza, the ticket booths and everything else. But when you get inside, all sorts of things like today in this first batch, we're going to see the very famous Bonecraft shop. And you go, oh, okay, that's different. So without further ado, let me get here. Okay, are you seeing the picture of Main Street, the station?
Yes.
Yeah, I got it. Yep.
All right. So we're in July of 1965 now. I haven't been looking, but I wonder if the clock tower still says Timex on it. My guess would be if Timex didn't pay for their participation, Disney would probably paint it over. But if anybody's at the park or has a recent picture, let us know. You can also see if we zoom in here, the population at this point had 46 million people visit Disneyland. I have it on good authority that that's the average weekend in July. So
Wow.
it gets
Is that
really,
elevation number correct?
yes, it is. Yep. And then there are some little things that have changed in recent years. There's a hand car parked out in front here. But again, Mickey, somebody did a thing on Facebook a number of years ago of all the different Mickey faces that have been there over the years, and it's changed dramatically over time. And out front, they used to have the posters out there, the silk screen posters, which now sell for $1 zillion, and of all the attractions. And most of these attractions are still there. There's one down at the very end for the space station, which is gone. And you can notice a big change right here in the train. Back in that point in time, they still had cattle cars. So they've since changed all the seating, so you're all facing towards the inside of the park. But at this point in time, Walt wanted an authentic train, so it had a cattle car, a passenger car, a baggage car, which is all great, except you can't really put people in some of those things, particularly today. We go off to Main Street, and in the background, Wurlitzer, one of the early participants, and you could go in. They would happily sell you a piano or an organ. Those were not for pickup there at the park. They would arrange to have them come out to the park. But one of the things they could pick up at the park were sheet music rolls if you had to play your piano. So you can imagine over time. At one point in time, my mother was thinking about getting us a player piano, and we thought that was the greatest thing. And she actually bought it, had it delivered to the house, and it didn't fit where she thought it would fit. So for about 2 days until they came to get it back, we had a lot of fun with the player piano. But back then, you could have bought a roll of music for it. In the background, you see the magic shop, the tobacco shop, and then Mickey here leading the band.
Bill,
Yeah.
do we have any particular attribution of who designed the band uniforms?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Who designed the band uniforms?
Oh, the band's uniforms. No, I don't. Obviously they have changed over the years, and this particular one I don't know, but I really don't know. That'd be interesting. There were so many costumes done for so many departments and things at Disneyland that it'd be interesting to know who was behind it. If you probably most of you have never been there, the wardrobe department is absolutely immense. Because now they've tried to go to more generic costumes. So you used to have one costume if you're running the Peter Pan ride, and another one for Mr. Toad or whatever. And now things have changed. It's just like generic. But you'd go in there and they'd have so many costumes, and they were all in different sizes for the different different cast members. And I remember one day I got to the park, and I don't know what I did. I managed to split the seam of my pants. So I had to go to wardrobe, and the ladies were very nice. I said, "Oh, this happens all the time, no problem. Take off your pants, sit here with a sheet over your lap, and we'll go sew them for you." So, I was in there and feeling very self-conscious with 200 people running around. And I'm sitting there with a sheet over my lap, but it's a really impressive operation back there.
Hey Bill, the player piano music, was it Disney or was it just old music, old school music?
Basically old school music, and I do understand that they had some Disney themed reels, but they sold just everything that they had in their catalog. They also sold sheet music and other stuff you might find in a music store. And Wurlitzer was there quite a years. I mean, this is 10 years into the park being open, and it's still there. So obviously it was successful for them for quite a while. But then Disney started saying that they didn't want the licensees anymore. They wanted to take over all the operations there at the park. So eventually Wurlitzer got moved out. And this is a good one here. The mermaids, you can see they're out there in the lagoon. They've got a harp that they would swim out there and pretend they were playing out there. The gals would do auditions. They had them every year at the Disneyland Hotel. They would come over and watch them swim. Then they would put on a mermaid tail outfit and see how they did for swimming. And they would make sure that they could easily go the distance from the shoreline out to as far as where the rocks are, because they didn't want a mermaid having problems midstream. A lot of the mermaids had problems that their hair started turning green from the heavily chlorinated water in the submarine lagoon. So if you swam out there and had particularly blonde hair, at the end of a little while, you started having green hair. Connie Swanson, who was the first Disneyland ambassador, was just commenting on her Facebook page the other day that security had a special code that they would announce over the PA system, because occasionally people would think it'd be really funny, particularly drunken sailors from the naval station come up from San Diego, finish their boot camp, and they would decide to swim out to the mermaids. So she didn't say what the code was, but it was probably something, Mr. Swanson, call your office, and the security guards would have to come over and get rid of the swimmers. What's interesting here, Brock may get a kick out of this, is look at the hidden theming of the very nice speaker here for the music that came out from the mermaids. So when
No, that's actually a very rare choral formation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called speaker cone
It's
choral.
called blowhorn choral. Blowhorn
Yeah.
choral.
Yeah, so when she was pretending she was playing it, there was a tape running that's over back by the monorail station. They would play the tape and everybody would say, "Oh wow, listen to that lovely music." But I just got such a kick out of just how blatant it is out there.
Look at the way they put those rock fenders around all the pillars, as if something was going to hit it.
No, just kind of makes it look more I guess more natural or whatever. By the way, they had a scuba diving team that would go and dive here in this lagoon and in the rivers of America, because the number of cameras and things that get dropped in there. And one day I saw the report of just how many eyeglasses get picked up in a year. I don't remember the number anymore, but it was truly phenomenal. And I had my scuba diving certification and I always wanted to go. But one of their restrictions was, particularly if you were to go in the rivers of America, you had to have gamma globule shots because of all the little things that lived in there. So I decided I was not going to push that.
How deep was it? How deep is the lagoon? How many feet deep?
About 8 to 10 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the difference is the lagoon was filtered water, went through a
Yes.
filtration system, versus Rivers of America and Jungle Cruise were just the natural water that was put in there, and they just add to it when it got, went down a little bit,
Oh.
but it was a
Right.
natural environment.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so all sorts of little things decide to live in there. You can see one of the mermaids swimming back to shore here. And the submarines, as they should be, gray. Walt was very proud that he had, I think he said at one point in time, something like the world's 4th largest submarine fleet. In the background, you can see some of the old designs here. Again, this is 1965, so the new Tomorrowland was coming later on, but you still had the original Astrojets, which were nothing more than a standard amusement park ride picked up and plunked down here in the park. And all the submarines were named after the U.S. Fleet ballistic missile subs. The Ethan Allen, George Washington goes by in another shot. So they were all very different from the versions I worked on, but kind of cool. You can see here through the window the skipper. They can go through fairly close together, each sub having its own sound system for the narration. So it got triggered by the skipper when he came in. There were certain signs on the wall inside the building, hit it here.
Can you forward to that? Oh, I was going to say to the front leading submarine and see if it's possible to read its name.
Oh yeah, sure.
Did they actually submerge it all?
Oh no. I can't quite make that one out.
Yeah, no.
So we got the Ethan Allen, Patrick Henry. I think it's
Could be the Patrick Henry, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was a group of them for a while that were named after, famous American patriots from the Revolutionary period.
Yeah, and that's how all these were done. We had the Polaris subs, and they were called 41 for Freedom. And they were all named after. We had the first one was the George Washington, and then they got the Ethan Allen. They were all done that way, and then they started running out of Patriots, so they started naming them for King Kamehameha was one of them. The other people were all named. All the missile subs were named for famous people, and then the attack subs were named for fish and places. Since over time, that convention has gone through, but I'd have to go back. I was on the Washington. I don't remember if I was on the Ethan Allen or not. I'd have to go back and look.
Bill, I have
Yep.
a question for you on the George Washington because I built a model of that one. Ravel made a model of the George Washington, and very few people noticed this, but on one of the bulkheads, if you looked very carefully, etched into it was pinups of, girls in bathing suits, essentially. And I wondered what bulkhead that was on the George Washington if you were actually there.
I don't remember ever seeing pinups on them. By the time I got there in '73, I think they were probably more politically correct. But the George Washington was an interesting story because it was an existing submarine that was being built, and Admiral Hyman Rickover convinced the Navy they needed a ballistic missile sub. And the fastest way to do it was they cut the existing George Washington in half, put the two sections further apart, and built the missile section as a new addition into it. So that was definitely a one-off design. All the others that came after that were a different class. But the Washington was yeah, like I said, it was different. Even the missile systems on it and everything were a bit different. What was interesting was that entire project was done in 1 year. From the time Rickover said, "Hey, let's get this thing going," to the time they broke the bottle of champagne on it. And again, they had a good head start because they had an existing submarine they were building. But when I was there, we were into year 4 designing the replacement missile. I mean, they did all that in a year, and then we were taking forever. And I went to my boss and said, "How the hell, why does everything take so long?" And he said, "Because we're on a cost plus contract. The longer it takes, the more money we make." And that was when I decided I would get out of the military business and go to work for the mouse. True
Hey,
story.
Easter eggs like that go back a long ways. I remember in the 60s, I was working for Motorola and we opened up a little Sony TV to look at the circuits. And on their circuit board, they had in the solder a cartoon of Dennis the Menace.
No kidding. There's a group you might want to look into on Facebook, Wayne, called I Take Pictures of Electronic Parts. And people post the weirdest stuff. And one of the things that people love finding is all the artwork that people embedded into circuit boards. And there's one that somebody posted, and it says like, "Help! I'm being held prisoner in a circuit board factory." Stuff like that. Or there was another one. What you call it? Kilroy was here. But it's a really that's funny that you have that one. Go look for that group. I post pictures of electronic parts. Very very
So
weird
if,
stuff.
if the ride didn't submerge, how do they simulate going underwater?
Oh, you've never been on it?
Waterfalls.
Oh, okay. Let's go back here. Down below, right here, is a set of open portholes. And when you were at the dock, see all this water back here at the dock? You get in
Yeah.
the submarine, you go down, they go, "Okay, take her down, Lieutenant," and they would blow water out along the sides, both because again, you got people on both sides. So all the water is coming out along the dock, and you think you're going down because you're in these windows and the bubbles come up. So when you come out on the whole trough that you're out here, you're on a rail. You're again, the people are sitting below the water. The skipper is above the water. If you had people with high hypochondria, not hypochondria, that's confinement.
Claustrophobic.
Oh,
Claustrophobic.
claustrophobia. Thank you.
Claustrophobia.
They would let them come up and look through the window and see that they weren't really under. But you would come through the lagoon, and you're all underwater here, and then you get into the show building, which is behind this waterfall. So you go through the waterfall, through a giant building that winds all the way back here, and then comes out the other waterfall. And then they say, okay, surface, and there's another bubble effect here, and now the bubbles go down, which makes you look like you're going up, and you've been at that exact level the entire time.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, the bubbles, you were originally when you went out, you dove just to below the surface because you could see the surface of water. But when you went in the show building, they also used the waterfall effect of that water coming down to simulate you were diving deeper and
Yes,
were
that's
blowing
right.
more stuff out to go very deep into the ocean bottom, and then you came back up to the level of the lagoon and then back into the dock.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
convinced
when
people they were actually underwater? They were
Yeah.
convinced?
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, that's where they said we must be having raptures of the deep, take us up, and yeah. So that
Yeah.
you go up to
So,
the so-called lower depths.
so why did they take the ride out?
No, they did not. Luckily, this is still in California. It shut down for quite a while, sat there idle. Then Tony Baxter was able to convince them to bring it back, and they did it as they painted all the submarines bright yellow to be research subs because they thought missile submarines are not fun or friendly anymore. And it's got a Finding Nemo theme to it now. So you go out and they project pictures of turtles and things swimming by, and
Oh,
it's changed. The show has changed a lot, but it's still there. The one in Florida is all gone,
Huh.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Speaking of gone, we have the Skyway. That's gone. Back when it went through the Matterhorn.
so if it's gone, you just have two big holes in the Matterhorn now.
Nope,
No,
they plugged
they
them up
closed them.
about a week after they took the cables out. They had pre-made plugs for them. They took the
Oh,
cables out, got everything out, plugged it up, and you look at it today, you'd never know they were there.
so why'd they take out the Skyway?
Cost. There's all sorts of stories on whether or not the pylon towers inside the Matterhorn needed its replacement or repair. As other people say, it's because it wasn't ADA compliant and it would take too much to do it. Another
Uh,
says the bean counter said how many people rode per hour, how much it cost per hour, because you needed a heavier number of crew members on this than a lot of other attractions, because you had to catch the bucket as it came into the station, stabilize it, open the door, get the people out, swing it to the next station, load it, push it. So you needed a pretty good number of people.
Yeah, another part of that story is too that they decided originally it was an attraction. It was a ride, and as far as codes and all that sort of stuff was concerned. Then they decided because it went from one station to another, so you had two stops. You had to stop on, you got at one end and went to the other end. They could classify it as transportation. From the state of California, in Disneyland's case, decided they wanted a bunch of upgrades to things that was going to cost a fortune, considering it, like Bill said, it would cost money, quite a bit of money to run. And it wasn't, I mean, it was popular with the guests, but it didn't sell anything, shall we say.
Yeah.
And so that was another part of it too. There was all sorts of things that they just went, this isn't worth it anymore. Let's just get away from it.
Yeah, triggering it as a transportation system triggered the whole ADA thing, and that was
Yeah,
a
exactly.
big issue. One of the things they looked at was, okay, if it takes time for people to get on it, how do you get their wheelchair? And then frankly, one of the things that helped kill it was all the motorized scooters, because they could say, okay, if you had a wheelchair, we could fill that up and put it in there. But then people started insisting that they had to take their motorized scooter, and there was just no way that you could do that unless you had one bucket that was totally devoted to, taking the scooters up there. And then how the hell do you get them up? You'd have to put elevators up to the station. It just became a real
Yeah.
problem. So, unfortunately, certain things get killed like that. Now, what's interesting is if you go to San Diego, for example, to the zoo, they still have their Skyway. But I think that does take you from point A to point B, but they're still able to say that it's not ADA compliant. I don't know how they get away with it as opposed to Disney. Then we had the
pretty hard to
castle.
make everything ADA compliant. How would you make every attraction ADA compliant when you think about it?
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. You really can't, and it's unfortunate for the people who are, requiring wheelchairs or things like that. But like even here inside the castle, you have the Sleeping Beauty walkthrough. There's no way that could ever be ADA compliant. So certain things that I think the fact that it was a transportation system, they'll put extra pressure on Disney.
Yeah, it did. And as
Yeah.
far as Disney in reality does design a lot for
Oh
handicap and
yeah.
keep it in mind in the design, but you can only go so far. And there's limitations as to how far you can go. And it depends on how much somebody what their disability is, how strong it is, and whether it's even safe for them to go
Yeah.
on some of these rides. Even if you could get them on it, is it really safe for them if they have no control over their body movements?
Yeah,
Things
like
like
Indiana
that.
Jones or some of those things, we get flung around quite a bit.
Or the Matterhorn or any of those
Yeah,
like that.
right. Yeah. So the castle back in its original paint scheme, which I gather they're going back towards more of the muted colors now, is what I read. And you would not know you're in Orange County, California, would you? I mean, it's the Matterhorn is quite an ambitious project. You can see if we zoom in up here, the mast here, and this is where Tinkerbell would open the hatch, come up on the roof, be attached, and then the lights would shine up and say, and now Tinkerbell to start Fantasy in the Sky. And she would swing down the rope into a catching area, which was a couple old mattresses and 3 or 4 big guys out by the rivers of America. The swans, again, Disney is great at spinning things. Oh, we didn't want to put the swans in, we took the swans out because we were concerned about fallout from the fireworks. Well, they had been doing fallout from the fireworks for 40 years before they got rid of the swans. But the swans were not actually owned by Disney. They were owned by an outside guy. And Disney, again, in their thing, if we don't want to deal with outsiders anymore, they eliminated the swans. So sad. And here, the Davy Crockett Frontier Arcade. And you can say, okay, we got Rare Woods and we got the Bone Craft Shop, which is hand carved bone. And that was there for a number of years. And you could go in. They would take bones, basically things like elk bones and deer bones. They weren't carving ivory, but they would carve out little animals and figures, and you could come in there and pick them up. I believe they had a thing where you could place an order and come back, or that they would mail it to you, but they had quite a few that were on, ready to go and take out. But I forget how many years the Bone Craft Shop was there. When I first mentioned it to somebody, they said no such thing. I said, yeah, explain this to one then. But this was back before every shop had the exact same merchandise as every other shop.
Yeah. Themed to the land, as it used to be.
Was that?
Themed to the land.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, during the strike, Carol had to work here inside the Davy Crockett Arcade, and she worked at the shop there. So again, I've got pictures of her dressed as a Mexican señorita, and she's got a pair of maracas in her hand, and all that. The costumes are gone today. The Mexican theme. They had some really nice things that I remember in the shop, which were onyx chess sets that you could get. They were all hand carved, and other little figures of. I probably have one around here somewhere of an onyx
Oh, those
bird.
chess sets probably came from Tijuana. That's where you pick
Yeah,
them up.
probably. Yeah, I know when you go on a trip, you go down to anywhere. As soon as you get off the boat, there they are.
Bill,
Yeah,
when was there a strike?
oh goodness, there were a couple of them. Let's see, there would have been about let's see, we had Open Space Mountain about 81, 82. I remember I had to go back and look for the pictures. And in typical Disney fashion, I got a call one day, strike's coming and we need you down at Disneyland. And I was the only person in management that they knew that had been, was around, that had run Space Mountain when we were doing the testing of it. So I went down there, and I hadn't been inside that cab for, I don't know, 3-4 years or so. And I went in, and there was a light blinking for the battery backup for the computer and blinking. And I said, oh, the battery backup light. I said, that's broken again. And the guy said, it's never worked. We just ignore it. You know? But there was one guy that he was a lead, and he said, just don't tell anybody I'm telling you this. And he walked us all through it, and we got it all going. But Disney would be really great because they were doing all this training, and they were doing it at night, you know, because again, the park would close during the day, during the night at this time of year. So they would make us work all day at the studio, our normal jobs, get in the car, drive to Disneyland, train at the Disneyland, and then go back to the studio and have to be back at the studio, you know, for your normal job in the morning. So luckily the strike did not last long because it was very, very tiring. Did you have to go down, Brock? Were you there for any of the strikes?
No, I actually did get called, and I mean, because they were doing it for management people initially. And the
Right.
first time, I think the one you're talking about, I wasn't at a management level at that point, so I
Right.
wasn't called. The next one I was alerted to, but it ended up not happening. In other words, we were ready for it. I'm trying to remember if I went to do train. No, I was supposed to go down to train after work, like you said, and they called and said, it looks like everything's going to be okay. So, you know, they're going to agree. So don't bother to come down. If things change, we'll re-alert you. So I never had to.
Yeah.
Never had to be a scab.
Yeah. Well, I tell you,
Thank you.
the worst thing about it was the orange polyester jumpsuits they made you wear in Space Mountain. They were uncomfortable.
Hey, Bill,
Yeah.
I'd like to ask Carol a question. How long did you work there in the Davy Crockett store?
How long did it was probably 3 or 4 days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't very long at all.
Did you find it thrilling?
Thrilling? No,
Yes.
it was different. I mean, we got to wear a costume, and I guess they trained us on the cash registers or something. I don't remember anymore because we had to
Well,
pick up sales.
okay.
There's me.
Well, my tablet just went south.
Yeah,
There
no,
you are,
that's it.
Carol.
There
That's
she
right.
is.
Oh, look at that. Oh, how pretty.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, that's why I
Oh,
married her.
That's a
Yeah.
great picture.
That's fantastic.
Look
Your
how
hair's
dark
exactly
my
the
hair
same.
was then too.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, I
exactly
haven't
the same style too.
I haven't
Take the
fixed-
name
fixed
tag
all
off. You can go
Yeah.
out.
Oh, look how pretty you are.
Oh, thank you.
But you can
Well,
she's a keeper. But you can
Yeah,
see
she-
all
well, the only reason I ask is because, you know, we all grew up on Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone and Cowboys and Indians. And it's just sad that I'm assuming that most kids today have no damn clue who Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone are. The only thing that they associate with anything through Disney is, you know,
Star Wars.
characters like Buzz Lightyear, and now it just went south again.
Well, if you want to really feel old, I can give you a good example. We have up in Porter Ranch, California, the area next to me is where they shot a tremendous amount of E.T. And all the shots where the kids are riding the bikes and they're going through housing development being built and everything. And they go to a park which has a giant caterpillar in it. And you'll sometimes come up with a new officer and you'll say something about meet me up at E.T. Park. And he goes, where's E.T. Park? And I said, oh, the top of Reseda at Cessna. And he goes, why is it called that? And it said, the movie E.T. And he goes, I've never seen it. And you go, how can you not know who E.T. is? You know, I mean, you know,
Bill,
yeah.
this must have been after we got married because I can see my ring on my finger.
Yes, yeah. So
Yes, I see it.
yeah. Oh, and again, if we really want to zoom in, you're wearing one of the digital Mickey Mouse watches.
Oh yeah, the one you brought back from Japan.
Japan, yeah. So I'd have
I
to go and
just
look and
want-
see when was this one? When was this taken? Let's see.
I just
Okay.
want to know if you learned the Mexican hat dance.
I didn't have to do that. I was
Say,
just
can you-
a salesperson.
This
Can you
one
play the
was from-
cucarachas?
This one was
Are you any
March
good with two
1980.
garages?
This was the second strike.
It's not
March
funny,
1980.
Irv.
Yeah.
Not funny, okay.
Irv, watch the jokes, huh? Last week I did get a couple complaints when you made a joke about women's work and stuff like that. So we're
What?
an equal opportunity audience. So this was March 85. This was the second strike. So at this particular one, I was working at Warner Brothers. So I just came over to drive Carol down and be part of the scene. But, you know, and she could still get me into the park because she had a pass. So it was great. Anyway,
I'm sure, Bill, that you instantly fell in love, but she probably looked at you and just swatted away with all the other men that were chasing her and things like that. And you probably had a hard time trying to capture her.
Actually, we were married at that point, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, even still.
No,
Thank you for all the compliments. I appreciate it.
it was truly one of the advantages of working at the studio was you could go onto the sound stage and watch them filming things, which most people did not. They came in, they went to work, they went home. To me, I walked on the sound stage the very first day I got there, I walked in and they were doing a major scene from Pete's Dragon. And again, my boss was in Florida. He said, just walk around, get to know the place. So I just stayed on the set for like 2-3 hours watching them film. And this particular day, I met Carol. The other guys were all going out to lunch, and this other fellow, Dave, said, "Oh, let's go see this movie that they're shooting." And there was a movie called The North Avenue of Regulars. And I walked on, and we were watching it, and Carol was watching it. We started talking, and as they say, the rest is history. What's really nice is I went to the Disney archives, and I got the what they call the call sheets for the particular when they shot that particular scene of that particular movie. So I went to the cutting continuity, figured out what the scene was, went to the call sheet, and I could figure out the exact date and time, which I have the call sheet here somewhere. Because how many of you can remember the exact date and time you met your significant other? So I was glad I skipped cheeseburgers that day. It's timing is everything. People, like I said, you walk on the sound. Matter of fact, the local Burbank newspaper did a Valentine's Day story about couples falling in love in Burbank, and they sent Carol and me and a LA Times photographer out to Disneyland to take pictures of us at the soundstage where we had met. So that was kind of neat. So we got the Columbia coming around the river here. Nice day on the rivers of America. This one was interesting. This was so dark, absolutely dark. And I did, if anybody knows what they call high dynamic range photos, I scanned it at about 5 different times, exposing it for the ship here, exposing, because if you do it too light here, all this gets washed out. So I did this at one exposure, this at another one, this at another one, and used Photoshop's HDR function to put it all together. And I was very, very pleased on how this area here, like I said, in the original scan, you couldn't even see the word Disneyland. And coming around the river, the Mark Twain. Back before they took out the Golden Horseshoe Act, again, things have changed and not always for the best. I thought the Golden Horseshoe is a wonderful, wonderful show.
Yeah.
All right, tell us, were these photos that you received from somewhere?
Yes, I bought these from somebody.
Okay.
And then restored them. So back here we have Admiral Fowler's Harbor, the dry dock where we do the maintenance work on the ships, and the Gully. Is this the Gully Wamper or the Bertha May? Let's see, the Bertha May. But the keel boats, which again, if we talked about in prior times, everybody wants to ride up top. It's a better view. It's a better breeze. During the size of the people from 1955 that worked, as we got into later years and people got bigger and more people started cramming onto it, wind came up, hit the boat sideways, and it flipped over because these again were not on a rail. So that was the end of the Davy Crockett keel boats. Shame. Luckily, again, this water here is about 5 feet deep. You can see it's all brown and muddy and everything. If anybody had fallen into it and got stuck on the rail for the ship or anything, it would have been a mess. So when that boat sunk, it was very, very lucky that nobody got hurt. This used to be the fishing dock where you could go and buy bait out here and come out here and fish, and you could catch your fish and then get halfway through the day, get tired of carrying it around and throw it away. So
I
after a
believe
while,
I believe they had perch and bluegill in there.
yeah. And after a while, they switched to catch and release because catching
Yeah.
them and taking them home, it did not work. And the burning settlers cabin. Peaceful Indian village. The Twin Sister Falls here, this was all gone. There was a wood structure and it got dry rot, and rather than replace it, Paul Pressler decided, every time I see his name, I'm washing my mouth out with soap. Anyway, he decided to take it down. Hey, here's one for you, Cody. You could go for the mule train ride.
One of my
Mention-
favorites.
Did you ever do this at the park?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did it a number of times. Yeah. I remember coming when they were going to close it. And I think it was like the day before or something, and I rode it for the last time. I was really I
Yeah,
loved it.
this was gone. I think they ended at about 71 or so, and I got there in 73. So all the mule trails were still there. And when the park was closed, I loved walking out into nature's wonderland with all the bubbling mud pots and everything. And I probably mentioned this before, but somebody taken an old metal folding chair and stuck it under a tree where you couldn't really see it from the river, but could see the river really well. And I would sit out there and just, my lunch hour or whatever, watching the migrating birds coming, landing on the river. And I was sitting out there one day and somebody tapped me on the shoulder. It was one of the security guards. And I thought, oh God, I'm in trouble for being out here or something. He goes, I think you're sitting in my chair. I said, oh yeah. He said, I'm just giving you a hard time. He goes, isn't this the greatest place of the park? I mean, it was really, you'd sit out there, you had no idea you were in Anaheim because all the sound systems were off. It was just the birds, the wind, and everything. It was really a great spot. And again, nature's wonderland. I could walk along all these tracks. On the CD I sell of Disneyland Without People, I got some, close up and personal pictures of some of the animals. The teetering rocks. The arch was still left in. That was something that they, Tony Baxter was able to convince them to incorporate this arch into parts of the rock work for Star Wars Land. All the swirls. Bubbling mud pots.
Guys,
Were those live cactus?
These are all fake. These are all the
Okay.
swirls don't grow out here. Our climate is not really suited to them. These were all fake, and they had some of them that were shaped in funny ways to look like caricatures of people and stuff. And then you can see they had the different colors, and they would kind of mix along the edges here. But periodically they would come out and clean it all out and redo it. I was out there one day walking around, and all of a sudden one of the geysers went off. And they were going out and testing them and cleaning them out.
What was the mud made of in the mud pots? Was it actual mud?
No, it wasn't mud. It was a thicker paintish type of thing, but it didn't gel. I don't really know exactly what it was, but no, it was not mud. It was a chemical formula. And some of the animals, we hear too many coyotes at our house. And the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse. And our visit has to come to an end, as all things do at this day. So again, the whole entrance complex and everything has changed dramatically. So let me go, what was this here? So now we're going to go back further in time. We're going to go to spring 1958. So The swines are coming out. It looks like they're wanting to be fed. And in the back here, you can see, again, we have the, what you call it, the castle here and going through everything and, what you call it, the train ride. But back here, you can see the train crossing gate and the cars, which I don't think, these are all pre-58 models, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But this was, again, all this area, the pony farm and everything, all taken out to put in Small World and other expansions. But to get to your employee parking lot, you'd have to go across the train tracks. So of course you had a crossing gate. And the Mad Teacups. Autopia without the guide rail on it, so it has the big ass bumpers on it. I imagine when he was at school, he was just the coolest guy with his leather jacket and his hair all slicked up and his sunglasses. But as cool as he was, he'd still go and ride the Autopia at Disneyland, right? We're all kids at heart. And this was another one I used HDR on it to bring it all back. Again, nice shot of the street. The cross streets at that point in time had names, East and West Plaza Street. For whatever reason, they're all, the cross street signs are gone now. But again, lots of the shops are still there. Coke Corner is still there. The Candy Palace is still there. But if you walk further down the street, Puffin's Bake Shop is gone. You know, other Carnation, some of these things are Upshine Pharmacy. So lots of changes over the year. As I mentioned, you used to get a lot of sailors who would come up here. They would get out on leave from the Naval Training Center in San Diego, and they would run them up here by bus. So awful lot of those. Kodak back here, the Kodak camera shop.
It's funny to see the people on the sidewalks as opposed to
Yes.
how now they just all walk on the street.
Yeah, that's a good point, Eric. Back then, everybody, sidewalks are for walking, streets are for vehicles, right? You know, you see that back at the 64 fair too. The sidewalk's gonna be packed and the bridge going across the highway is empty. But again, this is where costume is all changed. They had this costume just for the guys that did the horse-drawn carriage down Main Street with a little bolo tie and all that. You know, now of course everything is more of a generic thing. But yeah, great observation. Oh, you can see the jelly shop here, jellies and jams. And an unusual one, we're inside the Hall of Chemistry. So there had all sorts of displays of chemicals bubbling and you know, things being aerated and examples of all the products that Monsanto made. And outside you can see the Monsanto House of the Future. And now over here, this is another thing that's really changed. They had a flight area. Over here, you could fly remote controlled airplanes, and they would have, back at that point in time, when people had the little planes that were flying on the end of a rope, and you would guide it, you know, with control, make it go up, down, fly it around. And clubs would come in, and over here, this was a remote controlled boat thing. So if you look here, you can actually see a bunch of the boats are all stacked up, ready to go out. And you could pay money and you could go and race your boats out here on the water or at the plains out here. This was called the Thimbledrome. The entrance to Tomorrowland. So we have Monsanto back here. Actually, Monsanto was a little further. I think if I look, I think this is America. Yeah, this is Circarama. This is the predecessor to Circle Vision. So this was again Circarama because it was sponsored by American Motors, and they put up the camera rigs on the roof of the car and went and did a trip around the United States with it. I believe this one used 6 cameras, and then when they went to Circle Vision, I think they switched to 8 cameras. But this film was what sold the State Department on having Disney sponsor do the Circle Vision film over for the Expo 58 in Brussels. So when it came back, they renamed it from Circarama to Circle Vision, getting away from the sponsor name a bit. So spring of 58. This one I've narrowed down, I think is 61, but I think there's some pictures coming up here Irv will appreciate. So back, the monorail when it came out was very short. It was only 3 cars and it's later expanded. Back at this point in time, these were ticket booths. So back then, every attraction had A, B, C, D, E tickets. And if you wanted to buy a ticket for just your ride, you could go here to the ticket booth and you can see the window just over here if we zoom in. You could go and buy whatever this price was. You can see people are lined up here to buy a ticket for the ride. This now is just used as a break room and coat storage locker for the people working in the attractions. But there were a number of these little ticket booths that were scattered around the facility. And the Matterhorn, the climbers, again, something they don't do today because if they pay these people to do it, does it bring anybody extra into the park? No, it doesn't. You're fired. So unfortunate. Again, I would never think about doing that, but it was fun to go up at the top and look down, daydreaming. The Triton was a interesting submarine for anybody that's interested in submarines. Anybody know what's different about it? Is the first one they put, the first and only one they put 2 reactors on with 2 sets of propulsion systems, and that was they wanted to make sure there was a if anything went wrong with the first one, what could it be done? And the Triton was kept in service for years as a potential presidential escape vehicle, so that if God forbid things were going just like we have the plane that flies around, the doomsday plane and everything, the idea was you could get the president and some of his cabinet members out to the Triton and take it out and submerge them and hide them. After a while, they said, this thing is costing us a fortune just to keep here at the dock. So the Triton is now Toyota's. And Casey Jr., the patchwork quilt. Again, things that have changed over time. Just over the side here, the old train station that was over here for Fantasyland. The original Skyway buckets, again, they were just basically, we zoom in here. Doesn't really show in this shot. There were just 2 plastic chairs bolted to the floor of this thing, and they had very low capacity. So Bob Gurr came up with a design for the square buckets, which had doubled the seating capacity of the Skyway and made it a much more successful attraction in terms of throughput, that sort of thing. But down here, Irv, you can see, again, the bubbles. You get in the submarine, the dock would come out here, you'd go through the bubbles, and this would simulate the diving.
Yeah, when they changed the design of the bucket to hold more people, they had to figure that the cable could take the extra weight.
Yeah, they had to do that, and they had to change all this mechanism, the arm and all the rest of it. But
Yeah.
I don't know if they replaced the cable or if the original cable was strong enough or whatever they did. But they did quite a job in redoing it.
Oh.
Lots of people going for a ride in the Matterhorn. Oh,
Did you find that when they sold individual tickets, the lines were shorter in the park?
Yeah, I think back then, basically, if you ran out of your E-tickets, you would then go over to the A tickets, and it would just slow things down. Once everything was free, because you've got your passport or anything, and let's go do all the big ticket stuff. And some of the lower ticket ones started diminishing rapidly in terms of attendance, and that's why they started taking some of the things out.
Yes.
You can see some of the climbers just going over the edge here. And we're over here at the Alice in Wonderland ride. Again, the ticket booth here was inside here. This giant toadstool was where you get your tickets for this ride. If you look at this today, it looks very much the same, except now there's a guardrail all along here. So if you had to evacuate people and walk them down out of the attraction, they don't have to worry that they're going to fall off the edge of the thing. So
Huh.
again, certain things have had to change over time. Okay, let me get to the next one here. All right, we're gonna go way back, July 1956. So again, things that were there for a period of time. Walt had this covered wagon made. This was made at the studio, just like they made Stagecoach at the studio. He wanted to simulate the whole Western attraction as much as could be. When they did the movie, oh, what was it? With Fess Parker and the Western movie. It will come to me as soon as I think of something else. Westward Ho the Wagons, and they put a big banner up and took everybody around, you know, with the sign on it. Again, cross promotion, Westward Ho the Wagons.
How much work was done on that photograph, Bill, that you did?
No, not too much. This was Kodachrome. It held up pretty well. I had to take scratches out, but I don't think I had to do much in the way of colors or lighting adjustment on this particular one.
Huh? Yeah, that's actually a pretty good shot. Looks like today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice day looking out there and looking up here. I was looking here. I said, oh, I missed taking out some dirt or scratches. Nope, somebody's lost their balloon. Yeah, I try if there's dirt, dust, or scratches or anything, but if there's anything else, a balloon or a bird or anything that's part of the scene, I leave it there.
Yeah, no, the exposure latitude is good on that one. A lot of them where you try to adjust, you know, the sky gets blown out.
Yep.
Whereas this one, you know, you had a nice blue sky there. So I didn't know how much you had adjusted it or if it's just the
No,
way it,
that was a lucky one.
yeah, good.
And we have City Hall here. Back at that point in time, nobody knew anything about Disneyland. So what do we have? We have You Are Here maps, and they were scattered around the park at various places. When you came into Main Street, they were there outlining what you would have in various shops out here. Then when you got down to the castle, there was another one that would tell you what was in Fantasyland or whatever. You can just see the sign here, Inquire for Lost Children. And press information. Again, the park is still new, so they had all sorts of press people coming in and getting press kits and that sort of thing. They also had the first aid operation here. Wasn't at the other end of Main Street yet. Beacons, later replaced by Global as the official moving company of Disneyland.
Isn't that where the lockers used to be?
Yes, the
Yeah.
parcel check room. This is where they had lockers. Now they're down the street. But
Yeah.
you go in. Actually, at this point, I don't even know if they had lockers or if they just put them in bins for you. I'm not entirely sure what they.
You might be right. That early on, that probably was still the bins. That became the locker room.
Yeah.
And then they, like I said, they moved it again.
Right. Now, in this one, this is the chemical fire wagon, which is not used anymore. It's parked inside the Disneyland Fire Department. And if you go up here, this was Walt's apartment where they have a lamp that stays lit in Walt's memory. There's a fire pole that Walt used to like to slide down from the top level to the bottom level. And he thought that was, just absolutely great. But the story goes that one day a kid shimmied up the pole and that was the end. The pole is now blocked off. Imagine sitting there, Walt's reading a book or whatever, and this kid just pops up in his apartment. And everybody's dressed so nice. Oh, here's the edge of the You Are Here sign out by the castle. You notice this again being early in the 50s, how much the ivy had changed from the one that we saw earlier from 65 that had overgrown this entire set of the wall. Now, this one's interesting for two reasons. One, the little girl is not at all happy for going for a Dumbo ride. But if you look, this had the movable Dumbo ears. The original intent was that Dumbo would flap his ears up and down, back and forth as he lifted it into the air. But they found out when they built it, they made a mistake. The weight mechanism for the motors, because these ears are kind of heavy, the weight mechanism for the motor to do both the ears worked great until you put people in it. And then the Dumbo would go around and around and around and never get off the ground. So little kids like this, it might have worked, but they put two adults in there, they pulled the lever and it just sat there. So they first thing they did was they gutted out all the motors and reduced the weight and just fixed the ears in place. And they later recast all the Dumbos with fixed ears. So again, you can see the mechanism here. You can make out pictures of it in others. But this was in the semi non-flying Dumbo days, and she's not having a good time. She probably upset Dumbo didn't fly. That's July 56. And this is a set of official pictures that somehow I picked up when I was working there. That, again, if anybody was cleaning out their office and threw anything out, I was more than glad to take it because I figured I could always throw it out later. But so we have a nice title slide. Then we're inside the Pirates. And again, these are all done by Disney, so the lighting and everything is a lot better than you're going to get with your average photographer. Oh boy. Look, this is, I hate to admit it, but this is Carol's jewelry collection. No, Carol is very much not into jewelry, which is a great thing. So for years, the big joke around here was I would buy her some sort of diamond something at Christmas, knowing that I'd be bringing it back 2 days later. And then one year I gave her something. She goes, "I really like this." That was the end of that thing. To give her expensive gifts that I got out of paying for. Then we have some of Mark Davis's artwork. They later resold these on postcards that you could buy from machines that were in the area. You'd come in and put your quarter in and get the postcards back out. This is not Disneyland, but this is Disney on Parade. They decided that things kind of come full circle. The characters that were at Disneyland when it first opened had come from the Ice Capades from a show. And then they later said, why don't we do Disney on Parade? So they had a stage show, and then they later did Disney on Ice. So in this particular one, this is the stage show. Most of the costumes here are ones that I got to know pretty well. Did a number of them, but there were some of them like the Thumper and the White Rabbit. The faces on these, for whatever reason, are different than any that I've seen in the park itself. But again, you have Mickey and Jiminy Cricket's kind of a little weird. I don't know if I've seen that particular one in the park.
Is that a Tarzan character in the front row?
No, this is Mowgli from the Jungle Book.
Wow.
Yep, Mowgli from
I
the
see.
Jungle Book. Yep. So these shows were very popular. They went around the country and did stage shows, and they later replaced them with Disney on Ice. This was actually a licensee operation. It was run by the same guy that did the Ice Capades, Irving Feld, I think was it, and they had their
I
offices
think it was
over
Fritz Fell.
Well, the guy, it could be. I'm trying to remember what the whole name of the company was. They actually had their offices over at the NBC studios in Burbank. They weren't even on the Disney lot. I remember I had to go over and pick up something over there one day, and it's just kind of weird. Again, it was a licensee operation. And nice view of the flowers by the castle. All the topiaries outside Small World.
That's a nice photo.
Yeah,
That's really a nice photo.
Yep.
Always beautiful blue skies too.
They can stand in the middle of the flowers and take pictures, and nobody's going to yell at them.
It's a small world.
Yeah. Presented by Bank
Used to
of
be
America.
sponsored by Pepsi Cola.
I don't know if it's sponsored by anybody today.
But the original one at the World's Fair was Pepsi Cola.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. And this was interesting. This is the Carousel of Progress. You can just see the GE logo up here. again, brought back to the fair, from the fair, without the whole Sky Dome spectacular roof section on it, and just kind of a modern art design posted on it. But over here, this is a gal in the costume that came out and ran it. And you would go into it down below, then they would take you upstairs, and they had a small thing about Progress City, and then you'd come walking down the ramp to come back out. So it did have an upstairs component, but it didn't have the third story of the Sky Dome.
Now, in that configuration of building, can you see the second floor rotating?
No, the second floor did not rotate. The second floor was fixed. The ground floor rotated.
Can you see the rotation from the outside?
What's that?
Yeah.
Can you see the rotation though from the outside of the building?
Oh, the ground floor, yeah, absolutely,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the upstairs stayed static, and this then became offices for the entertainment division. Once America Sings went in, there was no upstairs component, so the entertainment division promptly and happily moved in, added some very cramped trailers up
That's-
to the.
It's dramatically different than the World's Fair design building.
Oh, very, very different. Yeah.
Hallway.
New Orleans Square. Block 33 up here.
Are these still the commercial slides?
These are Disney publicity slides, yeah. Yeah. No, they weren't sold, but they were used for press purposes. Okay. Now we're going to go back to July 1964. Hey, they've gotten Dumbo up in the air. And it won't show here, but now he's got his fixed ears. If you look here, there's no mechanism. They're just solid in there.
Yeah.
Get to meet the characters. Single car Matterhorn still at this point in time. And here goes some of the climbers. Here you can
Is
see
that where they
again
plug the holes
rotate.
from the cable car going in?
It's on
They
this
plug the
other
holes
side.
in?
Yeah, it would be on the other side. You wouldn't see it here. So the woman's name was Tiny, and I can't remember her last name. That was the Tinkerbell for years.
Didn't she get to be quite old at doing it too? I mean, you could
Yeah.
never tell because you were from a distance. You wouldn't know she was not this young little thing, but she started off young. And then,
Yeah, she did into her 70s.
yeah.
How many kids might have thought there was an attraction they could climb up and do the same thing?
Luckily, there was next to no way to get up there. I mean, you had to go in through the employee door. You had to go, there's a set of stairs and I think an elevator goes up here. But getting up here is not a trivial task.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, kids do some stupid things like decide to stay on the Tom Sawyer Island at night and then swim back to shore with unfortunate results. Back then, the Haunted Mansion would have been there, but nothing in it yet. Injun Joe's Cave. Again, sadly gone today. One thing you've noticed though is everybody's dressing nice and comfortably. We're not seeing high heel shoes anymore. No men in suits or anything. So definitely. Again, what year was this? Let's see. This was 64. So I guess the Kennedy effect of getting rid of hats is working.
You think they'd be complaining today about that dead guy lying in front of the burning cabin?
Oh, he's
I
gone.
saw it.
Yeah,
He's been
well,
gone. He's been
Had
gone
an
for
arrow
2
stuck
years.
in him too. Was it a problem with those audio animatronic animals in the water with the humidity affecting the circuitry?
Oh, no, no, all these, first of all, they don't have much in the way of circuits in them. They're hydraulically done. No, that was all taken into account.
Yeah, the actual control boxes were on the land
Yeah,
and just cables ran out to them.
Right.
So there was nothing to get wet that was
So
running.
they were
the
all
actual-
hydraulically actuated, not electrically actuated.
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then again, they change things now. You know, they're no longer eating the zebra. Over the years, they changed it. They got a cave that they're in front of, and they changed the dialogue. You know, oh look, the lions are protecting that poor sick zebra. Yep. Okay.
With the rhino.
Just like in the real world.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a fellow that I know that was a Jungle Cruise skipper, and we always go back about what was the cruise spiel and what was the ad lib spiel, and but he's going to get the point in the end.
Oh.
And we're coming back to the most dangerous part of our trip, the return to civilization and the LA freeways. And this was again that Fantasyland that when I got there was luckily still all there. The Captain Hook's pirate ship, the Skull Rock, all this is everything in this shot is gone today. Including gone in this shot, they had shootouts. So you had the marshal here, and he's deputizing people to look for those bad guys. But they would do shootouts in Frontierland out in front of the Golden Horseshoe Review. And they had a guy that was dressed as a gambling hall, Sharpie with his top hat on and this black outfit, and he had a handlebar mustache because of course that Snidely Whiplash evil sort of thing. And they get in their shootout and shoot them all down. And in the background here, I'm not quite sure what they were building in the back, but a construction wall is up. And when they would put these walls up, they would line it with the attraction posters. So if we look through here, you can see one here for the art of animation, which is where they would sell all the cells that were left over from all the movies and cartoons and sell them for like $1, $1.50, that now go for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So people keep saying, if you had a time machine, what would you do? And I said, I'd go back there with a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
Is that
You
the future New Orleans area?
It could well be, yeah. From the look of the lace work here, it could well be.
Yeah.
Disney got his idea for a shootout from Knott's Berry Farm. He would go out there and hang out and watch what they were doing. So the first few years they had shootouts at Disneyland. He saw that at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah. Busy day out on the river. No Matterhorn. And we go over to the Indian village. And just in case you were tempted to go in, sorry, Indian performers only. And somebody in a jumpsuit, probably the janitor cleaning up or whatever. But the next ceremonial dance will be at 3 o'clock.
Is that a real person?
Oh yeah, they had quite a dance troupe, and Cody probably knew some of them. They'd come out, they would do quite a thing of the eagle dance, the hoop dance, and others. And then for the highlight, they would invite the kids from the audience to all come out and join in with them. And I've got quite a few pictures of them out there. Just the greatest number of kids jammed out there having the time of their lives. Because you go to Disneyland and now you get to be part of the show. I mean, and your parents are cheering you on and everything. That had to be a great adventure for a lot of these kids.
I never knew any Indians from Disneyland. As a matter of fact, I hate to say it, I never saw it. But I did know the Native Americans in the 1990s from Knott's Berry Farm.
Okay, I didn't know if they moved back and forth.
No, it was a whole different group. I don't think any of the guys from Knott's Berry Farm were at Disneyland at one time. They were very young. Yeah.
Bill, maybe they contacted the local OA chapter to get
Yeah.
lessons.
Yeah, so like here you get the eagle dance.
They had different tribes at Disneyland. They had a whole slew of different tribes. At Knott's, they did too, but not as many different tribes as Disney.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they would
So,
have an announcer describing what was doing, then somebody off to the side with a drum keeping the beat.
right. And I'm sorry to say, I can't tell you what tribe that is. Sorry.
Not a problem. These are kind of jumbled up, so they go back and forth. You know, again, they're here watching it. Oh, the river comes by. I gotta grab the picture of the boat. Oh, back to the show. And now we're off. You notice, by the way, the monorail has gone from 3 cars to 4 cars.
Money.
And the Skipjack, another nuclear sub. Oh, this is the famous but ill-fated flying saucer ride. So Carol, again, I'm entirely jealous of her because she got to ride this. But the concept here was that these little circles would open up and blow air, which would lift the thing up. And then you see she's holding on to 2 handles. You would be able to tilt it to the left, tilt to the right, forward or backwards, and have the thing move around. Turned out there was a very big sweet spot. If you were too light, it didn't detect, the sensors didn't detect it to open up the air, so it just sat there. If you were too heavy, the air was not enough to make it move. So they, in some cases, I do have some great footage of this thing, just skittering along the edge of the thing. And others, you're just sitting there bouncing up, down, up, down, up, down, and others moving kind of slowly. But there was a giant arm here that would come across the thing and push everybody back to the loading area for the next group of people to come in. People have mentioned on the talks before how they would fire up in the morning and before the guests were there, they would turn it on, and any of the rats that had gotten into the system the night before would get all blown up and shot into the air. This was another one I really had to do a job on with high definition. This one was really super, super dark. But you can see here we're at the Fantasyland Theater. Over to the left, the Welch's Juice Bar, which I love. They had a wonderful, beautiful picture by Ivan Earl behind the juice bar. And you could go in, you could get, it was the first time I think I'd ever seen white grape juice. You know, again, living in New York, I guess we only had dark, grape juice. But you go here, you could get glasses of juice, or you could get frozen juice bars. And on a hot day, I spent a lot of money over at the Welch's Juice Bar. It was a kind of neat spot. They would rotate pictures in here. In this particular one, they're showing Jack and the Beanstalk. And you can see the poster in the back advertising the Grand Canyon diorama. In later years, they always showed the same 3 cartoons. And they were just on a loop, went over and over. And poor Carol, the number of times that they were, one of the trailers ones they always show was Mickey's Trailer. And at the very, I don't know, we'll go for a drive from here to say Sacramento. We'll get back home, I'll pull in the driveway. Oh, brought you back down safe and sound. Just that cartoon was the same 3 of them over and over and over for years. Excuse me. But the theater was air conditioned, and in its early days, excuse me 1 second. In its early days, it was actually used as a theater for live stage shows. They had puppet shows and magic shows and other things in there, and then they decided that they could just show the old movies nonstop, and they didn't have to pay the puppet guys, and they went away. This is again, if you're working at Disney and you want to get a job as a live person like this is called a face character, because the other characters, you don't see their face, but out here you have a face character. There's very few of them. Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, a couple of them, but excuse me. You have, again, with Alice, they realized that, if Alice didn't have a British accent, that threw things off. So I don't know what kind of accent Peter Pan had here. And looks like it's a girl playing Peter Pan. which I guess fits for Mary Martin, right?
Right.
One of the characters you don't see in the park very much at all is Flower from Bambi. Why they have certain ones that have come and gone, I don't know. They still have some of the old costumes in storage, and every now and then they do a special event to bring some of them out again. This one looks like it'd be particularly hot. The Shoeshine Boys, back at this particular point in time, we're up at Main Street, the Lincoln Theater today, and you could just see the sign out here for the Mickey Mouse Club. Excuse me, something's bothering my throat today. This was during the time they were doing the syndicated version of the Mickey Mouse Club, and they had Professor Wonderful would come out and do science demonstrations here at the Mickey Mouse Club Theater, and you could go in, and Ginny Tyler might be there. She was the local host here in LA, and you get a certificate to be members of the Mickey Mouse Club. The Shoeshine Boys were here, and they also showed up a lot in New Orleans Square. And they actually do show up on some of the Panaview slides that came out. But they did an act where they would actually shine your shoe, but then all of a sudden they break out into a song and dance routine, and you can see people are clapping, and I think he's got a harmonica or something there. But I've seen shots with 2 of them, and I've seen shots with 3 of them. And I believe at least 2 of the 3 were related. So here, Mickey Mouse Club Theater, the headquarters is open. Mickey's inviting you to come on in and see an episode of the Mickey Mouse Club taped. You had the cast members out there, done up with shirts like the Mickey Mouse Club. If you look it up, there was never a Mouseketeer named Lorraine, but this is her claim to fame. And the train coming down the track. Notice there's 2 tracks. So back at that point, early point in time, one train went one way around, the other one the other, and they decided that was not a good idea. And then they had a switch track here that they could have one train bypass another one, and the switch track jammed and train went off the track. So let's take that out, and let's just take the small section of the double track in front of the train station and put a handcar on it. Something that would look pretty much the same today. Oh, this wouldn't look the same today. There's California Adventure out here. Okay. So that was all July. Nearby, July 68th. So Small World has been moved out from New York. Matter of fact, if you were to go in here, you would still see all of the things written on the back of the plywood here for the set number, scene number, and where it all went. Very different from if you're on the other side of the attraction. Then you have Bessie Walker still, I believe, still leading the band, and you had the giant bass drum. When I got to the park, this was a little sitting out there in the parking lot out by the main warehouse off of I guess it's Ball Road, and they said it looked pretty ratty, and they said if we ever need it, we'll recover it. But just like movie sets at the studio, if you don't need it, just park it off to the side. You can always throw it away later. And there's the drum, pulled by little ponies. Of course, that makes the drum look even bigger, doesn't it? And the 3 little pigs and the wolf chasing them down there.
In the beginning years, did Walt Disney ever march in the parade by himself too?
No, he rode in a car. He had a antique car replica that he would ride in the parade, but he didn't march. If he did, he would be absolutely swarmed by people, and he would never get down the parade route.
But he did make a personal appearance.
Oh yeah, he would walk out into the street and everything, and he would carry a stack of pre-signed autograph things with him and hand them out. And then he realized after that, everybody was trying to get his autograph, and he would just have to say, "I'm sorry, I can't do it." But yeah, there's you know, well, lots of shots of him out there with people swarming around. Again, all the Mickeys change over the years. The new Tomorrowland of 1967. So this is a year later. We have
There's the
America.
bell system on it.
What's that?
See the bell system logo?
Yeah, I was just going to say, here's America the Beautiful presented by the Bell System over here. And then the People Mover, which is sadly gone. And for the People Mover, again, being early on, there's nothing in here to keep you from jumping out. So they later had to redo this here because some idiots decide it would be fun to jump out. So again, people, you can design things, you can plan things and everything, but you never can figure out the lowest common denominator of people's intelligence.
Bill, what was the America the Beautiful attraction?
Oh, it's Circle Vision. Circle Vision, you know, America, Circle Vision around the United States.
Ah, gotcha. Thank you.
That's the eighth view film. If you go on YouTube, they have the center screen version of it, and it's got the original music and dialogue, but you don't get the whole effect of everything going around. So when you go out there and you know in the original film, a whole bunch of soldiers will surround you. You only see the center of it thing, but yeah, it was America the Beautiful. Then they had small kiosks out in the park for selling things. Here we're in Fantasyland, obviously, but if you zoom in here, these are all little flip books. So you can go and buy a flip book of Chip and Dale or Mickey Mouse or Pluto, Goofy, and flip, you know, the animators have done it and flip all the things around. Then these are all postcard flyers where you open up and there's 8-10 postcards or so, all in a continual strip, and then postcards themselves, and a convenient mailbox right here for mailing your postcards. And of course, all sorts of stuff inside that you could buy, and he's already got his hat with his feather in it. I probably have one of those hanging on the wall of my guest room. It's all decorated with banners from places I've been.
Yeah, what strikes me is how clean the sidewalks are. There's no litter anywhere.
Well, every night they would get steam cleaned. That was one of the very first things that they did, was they have a special coating on it, so it's not bare concrete, which is they're all color coded too to the various theme lands. But they come in every single night with high pressure steam hoses and blast off anything that's gotten stuck to the ground or whatever.
And I mean, not even a piece of paper, nothing. It's spotless.
Nope. That was Walt's attitude, is if you kept it clean, people will keep it clean. If you let it get dirty, they'll make it dirty.
He was right.
Yeah.
They didn't allow chewing gum either.
Nope. No chewing gum, no cotton candy. We had a whole list of things. Here's the George Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Back to a 3-car monorail. Monsanto is still here at this point in time. Oh, looks like the Lions have been in a different spot because it's sure grown up here, isn't it? Headhunters. All right, let's see what we've got time for here. Oh, we're back to July 64. So the Disneyland Hotel is over here, and this was something very unique at the time, an outdoor elevator where you could actually look out from a glass wall as you went up. And again, real super common today, but you know, things have changed. And does anybody know why this says Hotel Disneyland as opposed to Disneyland Hotel? Because when they built it, they first did the one section and they added on the other section, and they no way to change the signage doing it. So this is after it was expanded.
Which section was built first?
Disneyland.
Okay.
And back over here. Oh, we must take a picture. We're at the Kodak picture spot. Matter of fact, Kodak, being smart, these 3 different shots recommending 3 different views that you should get here. And at this point in time, let's see if we can tell. The attendance was 47,000, or 47 million rather, so a little bit more. I think now they only change it for every 5 million. I don't think they change it for every million anymore.
So once a week.
Here
Huh?
we're on the
Once a
what's
week.
I said once a week, huh?
yeah, right. Yeah. So we've gone away from the TWA moon rocket, so it's now the Douglas moon rocket. But you can see everybody out here, the mechanical arm getting ready to sweep everybody back on the flying saucer ride. Again, this was Arrow Development Corporation. They made these rides for all sorts of places and just, put it to Disneyland, painted some names of rocket ships on it, and it was same sort of ride you'd find at many other places. And again, they later went to the more Disneyized one for the New Tomorrowland 67. Slightly different design of the pigs than we've seen in some others, but again, you look out through the hat here. He's showing off to the big bad wolf, I guess. See, look in here in the hat.
Yeah.
There's the guy. They needed to do some better screening, I guess, huh?
Yeah, that's strange. There must have been, probably because light coming in the top. So normally the screening without light behind it, you would not see it, but you must have been at just the right angle if that light was coming in through that screening at the top for the ventilation that it lit him up.
Sure did though, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I look at his eyes, I'm not even looking at the pig.
Yeah, it's strange.
It was interesting back at the first picture where she was kind of posing and the wolf was right next to her. It's like the wolf was not, like he's kind of oogling her.
Yeah, I was thinking he's leering at her.
Yeah. Tongues out.
Sort of like a Tex Avery wolf.
Yeah, exactly.
Looks like in the pig, there's screening at the top of the hat that lets the light in.
Yeah, that's for
probably
ventilation purposes, but that's why it was just at the right angle that the light was coming in. Looks like it's pretty much midday, so it's coming straight down, where most of the time.
Right.
Boy, I did like to have her pose.
Yes.
Where is she in this picture? Can we find her?
Yeah, that's TP. She's in there.
Okay.
In the teepee.
And more of the bubbling mud pots. There she is. And here's our Kodak picture spot. Notice no haunted mansion back here.
Yeah.
And again, this is the Indian village back here. So down here at this point in time, these were built as the Indian war canoes, and they later became the explorer canoes and the Davy Crockett canoes. But this was, if you went in through here, they had the totem poles around. They had some displays in here, and then the dance village, dance ring. Here's the dance ring. So you can see quite a good sized audience out here. Everybody's up under the shade, and they're doing their performance. We're seeing this, of course, from the Mark Twain or the Columbia, and then all the kids are going to be invited to come out and join them in here. Well, a lot of times I'm surprised there's not a lot of people or anybody sitting up here, because a lot of times these are all full of kids. And here's the person, the musician, keeping the drum beat. Schweitzer Falls. Okay, Irv, now you're in the submarine, and this is how it works. So we're inside. Here's a circular porthole. You can see the water surface up here, just above us, but you are
Yeah, I
definitely
see.
under the water. And as Brock mentioned, when they first would dive, they'd say, "Okay, we're taking you for a small dive, exploring the reefs, and now we're going to go dive deeper and go see the sunken city and that sort of thing."
Yeah,
But
sunken city and all those weird fish that lived at the bottom of the ocean.
right, with
But
the
you can
lights
always
and
see the surface of the water above your head though, can't you?
yeah,
But not
and they
inside the show building. In the show building,
right.
you couldn't. So when you went to the deeper dive, it was lit in
Oh,
a way that you weren't aware of that water, and so you didn't know how deep you were.
yeah, but the sub was never completely submerged.
No,
The
it just
no,
stayed
the
at the
people were,
same
but the
level.
sub wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, very good effect.
Yeah, and a lot of these
Illusion.
were on motors. They swam around, and you saw, shark going by and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that was closed a lot. I never got a chance to go on it.
Well, it's still there.
Disneyland or Disney World, or
This, well, Disneyland
Disneyland.
is still there.
oh, it was Disneyland. Okay, no, I was wondering if he said it was closed a lot because the one at Walt Disney World for a while was closed a lot because before they put in the filtration system, they thought they could use the canal water, and it brought in all kinds of. You talk about needing a certificate. I mean, shots before you went in the water. There, it was pretty
Yeah, that's
bad.
what I think it was about 18 months into it. They had to drain the whole thing and redo it all. That's when Tony Baxter was down trying to salvage it.
Yeah. Well, when they did that the first time, they said there was like 4 feet of muck that was just dead, um, leeches and all that sort of kind of stuff that, when they drained it out, they all were exposed and died in there. And it was just horrible.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
the
can imagine.
stench was remarkable. Yeah, I was glad I got to see this version of Fantasyland before it's gone. I mean, the new version's nice, but again, it's like what you get to know when you grow up, right?
Yeah.
The old Fantasyland train station's still there, and all the sheds and everything that came out when and the pony farm was back here. All that stuff came out when they put in Small World.
Where is this taken from?
This would have been taken from the Skyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's funny with the newer castle parks that they built their own new versions of the boats, the pirate
Yeah,
ship, Skull Rock.
yeah, I guess it had a lot of nostalgia, and it seems to sell still. This is from the tree house up here. All the offices for this particular area. Tomorrowland and Adventureland. I'm sorry, Frontierland and Adventureland share a common set of offices up here at the upper levels.
when I
Just down here, you can see the main parking lot.
when I think about the tree house, I amaze myself with how much I liked such a simple attraction. I just
Yeah,
always liked it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's one of
it's
those
just a
things where I don't
walkthrough
know if
attraction
they
too.
would build another one today, but again, low capacity, and they changed it. And luckily, they put it back more the way that it was. But what I look at the tree, there's no shots right here of the treehouse. Just the engineering for the beam work to hold the whole thing up and all the weight of the people, and be able to, the one in Florida withstand hurricanes and that sort of thing. Just awful lot of engineering, a lot of steel and concrete inside that giant, whatever the fake name they gave it, Disneyest Giganticus or something, whatever that's the fake.
What was also interesting about that last picture was the fact that knowing that the people would be up in the tree, the view of those offices, you don't see any air conditioning units on the roofs.
Right.
You've got that one little section of flat roof, which they probably decided that's okay, that will work. but you know, they were very, again, inside the berm. You don't see the
Yeah.
stuff you'd see outside. You don't see the stuff you'd see at the 64 World's Fair if you were up high going by the buildings. They were very, very careful about all that.
Yeah, notice that no a lot of windows, right?
Yeah.
And
You
just
don't want to look inside, so you see somebody sitting on the telephone, ordering more frozen bananas.
and just to have any kind of elevated view of the theme, of any of the parks, like that's why I've grown to appreciate the tree houses in all the parks.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
where else can you get up high anymore?
Yeah, when you went on the Skyway and you went through Tomorrowland and you looked and saw the cables laying on the roof of the Alice ride, that would go into the spotlights for the castle and stuff. It kind of a little different. Uh-oh. Mountain lion's getting ready to go and jump. I don't know if anybody saw the
Actually, I
news
think that's a bob.
last night.
Is that a mountain lion or bobcat?
And probably a bobcat. Yeah. There was just a mountain lion in Pasadena yesterday where it got way, way into the city and they came and darted it. And it was interesting, as they even mentioned in the news last night, they were putting it into the trailer to take it back to the wild. And the cat kind of like looks at the people putting it in there. And I was thinking, man, I'd want this thing to be so sedated it didn't wake up for a month. And even the newscaster said, I think it's a little more lively than I'd want to be carrying it. They can't, they carry it on a stretcher type thing, and then they get there and they just kind of roll it into the truck, and the lion looks back at them and oh, geez, beautiful animal though. 10 cents one way.
It was
What is
actually
it
only
today?
10 cents. Only 10 cents? Is that real?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it was 10 cents, and that money went to Retlaw, Walt's company. Walt ran the part of his thing is he ran the transportation thing. So the monorail system was a Retlaw system. The Skyway was, I don't think the Skyway was. This was
No.
so the 10-cent fare went to Walt's family until Disney ended up buying them out.
Yeah, it
But
was all
here-
the Main Street vehicles and the train.
Right.
And was the monorail owned by Walt? By
I don't
Retlaw?
think so. That was the partnership with Alweg and
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Now, of course, we have our well-dressed look over here. Where we get short, high black socks. We're at the Tiki Birds.
Tiki room.
I'm gonna do one more set for the day, and then
Amazing how popular a tiki room is.
They just fixed the whatever the name of that god tree is. It works
Right.
again.
Yeah, it was a long time coming.
Yeah.
So in this particular one, let's see, we are in 1961. So here's the Monsanto House of the Future, predicting all these amazing things we're going to have. That we, like flat screen TV. Come on, get out of here. But in
Never
61,
happened.
they had one in there, so they knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
Look at
having
64. When they
having
say,
been an engineer for TV companies, I can tell you that I always got comments about, yeah, flat screens are always 10 years away.
Yes. Yeah. Popular Mechanics or Popular Science always had an article, what we're going to see next year. And you knew that was, whether it was flying cars or flat screen TVs or whatever, it was 10 years off.
They said you can hang them on your wall like a picture.
Yeah.
And they
This
were
one
right.
I enjoyed. This is obviously taken from either the Mark Twain or at this point, or the Columbia. But there's a little gazebo here, long, long gone. And I do have some pictures and other slides of groups performing in here. And
This has got to be from the Mark Twain because you can't get up that high on the Columbia.
yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
So you can see a little stand here, and then El Zocalo, a thing about the great. You can't use the name Zorro because you don't have the rights to it. So you have El Zocalo, and you have that out here. But yeah, this little bandstand, like I said, I've got a picture of about 4 or 5 mariachi type guys playing, and I don't know why they got rid of that. But over here, Mineral Hall, back at this particular area, you could go and buy rocks that were lit up by black light and, show them how they glowed at home and that sort of thing. So we're still in the suit and tie days here, but we do have
Where-
feathered hats.
Weren't all those colored umbrellas? Isn't that the Frito-Lay?
Yes, yeah, Frito-Lay. Yeah, this was where they invented the, what you call it, the,
The
Tortilla
what-
chip.
yeah,
Fritos,
Doritos.
Doritos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where they had the machine, they put the quarter in and, oh, hey, Klondike, go get us another bag of them Doritos. And again, the guy working, they had all these pieces left over and thought, what do I do with all this stuff? And, hey, if I put a coating on it and sell it, hey, people love them. So Doritos invented at Disneyland. Boy, that fire, that house really had to be pretty fireproof.
There's that body laying there.
Yeah.
Well, they say logs burn very slowly, so.
Yeah, the funny thing was there was no smoke.
Yeah.
What were they burning? Propane gas?
Yeah. And for a while, they actually tried using the old grease that came out of the deep fryers and everything, and it didn't work as well. And it also had a particular odor to it. So then they tried the Haunted Mansion with the sheets of flittering plastic, and they've done all sorts of things. And again, the rocket to the moon in the back, done by TWA still at this point in time. You can see one of the theaters here and just the roof of the other theater here. And look at the giant construction going on over here. And what did I figure that they put in there? I don't have a map of this right now. I have to go back and look at the map, but obviously there's a construction wall going up. If anybody has a map, again, what year was this? This was 61. Look at a map and see what they were sticking in, but big hole going in the ground for something. Over here, the flight circle, again, chairs that you could sit on here and watch your flying clubs do things shooting around there. The mermaid area. Gee, I don't look on this one. Let's see. There's no more speaker.
Oh,
Anyway, oh, this is kind of interesting out here. The work tug,
little monorail tracks.
breaks down. This goes out and tows them back out to the into the roundhouse. Or if they're just doing maintenance work on the track, they can come out here to change the light bulbs, check fittings, do anything if they want. But this is rarely seen during the day. So in this particular shot, you don't see any people or anything. I don't know how somebody got this particular one, but there's, the subs are all docked. There's nobody up here. Looks like it was before opening hours. Somebody was able to get up on the Skyway.
Could it be an employee?
What's that?
Could it be an employee who took the picture?
Yeah, there's probably somebody working on the Skyway or doing something, doing the testing ride for the day or something. But again, this is hardly ever out during the day. And all the subs are all here ready to go. Not a single person waiting for the monorail. And on the Columbia, they had people dressed up that would go up into the riggings, and they don't do that anymore. OSHA probably. In the Indian dance ring. I haven't been on the Columbia in years. I gotta go back and do that. Indian war canoes.
After you digitize all these photos, what do you do with the original hard copies? You save them?
They're in binders here and books in my office.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I've been working like mad, and the Panaview souvenir slides, I've been scanning them like crazy to get them out of a box and put them away. But I have made the print file company very wealthy by buying, I don't know how many of these plastic sheets. I mean, they hold 20 per picture, and you figure if I have 100,000 something pictures, it's a lot of sheets, a lot of. Matter of fact, there's another shipment of binders coming. So, but yeah, they're all organized and you know, hopefully staying safe and sane and that sort of thing. Let me go back and see on the chat what I missed here. Come on, chat. Oh, there you are. Yeah, open a photo restoration company. I'll do that in my spare time. You know, I do have on my website, you know, tools and techniques and things to do it on worldsfairphotos.com. There's a thing there. So you want to restore your own pictures, and I give some examples and tools. And I do try to help people out to get them started and, you know, on things for that. Oh, Eric, thank you. No more Timex on the train station. Thank you. I had the feeling it'd be gone. You know, that if Timex doesn't pay for it, it's going to be gone.
And the population is 650 million. It hasn't changed in I don't know how many years.
Oh, okay. So we're looking at it 46 million, 47 million as a 650. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Maybe they'll
Bill,
change it for the 75th anniversary or something. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. Well,
Bill,
yeah. Hey, Tom.
hi, we're at the Hill Air Force Air Museum, and I just thought I'd give you a glimpse.
I see a B-29 back there.
What's here? Yeah, and behind me are a lot of the Walt Disney, you know, insignias that are on the different planes.
Right.
And
no, those are reproductions. So there, yeah. Some famous ones, the boxcar and Enola Gay. Now, where is this museum?
Hill Air Force Base. It's just north of Salt Lake City in Ogden.
Oh, neat.
In front of me here is the B-17 that Carrie's dad was a belly gunner. And they've got a just absolutely fantastic display of, you know, a man sitting in the belly and the machine gun that he's using. And
he had to be a fairly small guy then.
Yeah, he was slight. He's probably around 5'10" or so, but he was, a really skinny guy.
Right. Yeah, no.
But they flew all their missions successfully and made it back alive. They were all Mormons, the entire crew. But,
oh, wow.
Anyway, I just thought, I know you love planes, and I just thought you'd get a kick out of it.
Is that a B-25 off to the other side there?
Yes, it is.
Or 24.
Yeah.
That's a 24. Or no.
No, it says right on it, B-25.
Yeah, it is the B-25.
Yeah.
And then they have a B-25 simulator underneath it. And then got all the, you know, bombs and landmines and it's just a really, really cool museum. And there's even more stuff outside. And
they have a T6 there.
What does it look like?
It's a 2-seat trainer. That's the plane I had.
I think it's the one that's over the B-25.
Yeah, isn't that it right there in the middle?
It's hard to see way back there, but I think it's a T-15 climbing up out there to the right. Oh, pretty neat.
Tom, is that a replica of the Wright Flyer below you?
Yeah, down below. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
No touching.
The original's in the Smithsonian.
1903. And then there's
where's the original?
another
Smithsonian or Kitty Hawk?
Yes. Smithsonian.
Smithsonian.
I saw it when I was a kid.
There's
actually
another replica.
I think the Wright Flyer is the one that's hanging, and I think this other one is a different
Model F. It says it's a Wright Flyer Model F.
Model F, yeah, not the original had the front wings like you see hanging there.
The one up above, you're right. It says it's a 1903 Wright Flyer. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Anyway,
really nice.
That's what we're doing today. Got our two young grandsons when we took to Disney World are here, and he was so excited to come here. He's just been for the last month. When are we going? When are we going? All right. Well, I'll let you guys get back to it.
No, we're just saying goodbye. I'm gonna go out to lunch in a few minutes.
Oh, good. Well, glad I caught you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had a couple people that had to leave early, and then Beth is she actually posted a picture. They were near the Sun Sphere today in Knoxville, so she's on a tour and posted on her Facebook page for her World Fair friends. So anyway, I hope people enjoyed
Yeah,
the Bone Craft Shop and some of the other weird Disney. Oh, look at the shirt! There you go.
And I brought the museum airplane that I got from this very same place back in 1962. Model airplane that I got, and they were really excited to get it, and they're put it in the display case. So,
Oh, that's neat. Great.
yeah, it's fun. Okay, later.
Well,
Sorry.
if I get to it this week, I'm going to try to do some more movies. I've had so many come in the last 2-3 weeks, and I haven't even been able to open the boxes on some of them. You get into some of these scanning things, like for the Panaview slides, I've scanned over 3,000 of them, and I'm looking and figure, oh God, there's another 1,000 sitting here waiting to go. But what's really interesting on those is that they capture so many things that are gone today, or have changed so much, and then unfortunately, almost every single Panaview is bright red, so it takes fixing it or whatever. But how things change. I was just doing a little research on the history of the Panaview company, and Sawyer's came up with the idea for God, it's sitting right here, Viewmaster. So they came up with Viewmaster for the 39 World's Fair, and that became a big thing. And then this other company decided, Sawyer's bought this other company that had the rights to do True View pictures, which were different from the Viewmaster, but True View had the Disney contract, and that gave them all the right as Disneyland opened to do all the Viewmasters at Disneyland. So then GAF went and bought Sawyer's, and at one point they were the largest manufacturer of slide projectors anywhere in the world. And then that whole market collapsed, and they were up in Portland. They were very proud. They had 1 million. I think their employee force got up to 1,100. They had to cut 400. Now the company doesn't exist. And I have not been able to find out where their archives went or anything, but their depth of their offerings was just insane. So why the hell I ever started deciding to collect those is beyond me. But when I was a kid, my grandparents would take us on trips, or my parents would take us on trips, and I used my money that I made shoveling snow and that to buy those slides, because I always figured they could get the shots I couldn't get because I felt I was a lousy photographer. And then they all turned red, and that's what got me into restoring the photos, Scott. So I took my beautifully, perfectly kept pictures of Disneyland, Disney World that have been in the slide carousels and a climate controlled environment, took them out, and they were all red. And it was like, what the hell? And damn them, they started me down that slippery path. So
I got asked a question by the granddaughter of a friend of mine when I told her about you and that you had some interaction with Tomorrowland. So she wanted to know 2 things. Is your name in the credits, and where should she look, and what was your involvement?
Okay, yeah, name's not in the credits because I'm not a member of the Art Directors Guild, which is what that came under. The same thing happened with Iron Man 2. We negotiated a rate, and it was supposed to be a rate plus a credit, and then the union balked at giving me credit because I'm not a member of the guild. It would have cost me more to join the guild than the they were paying me. So they just said, okay, how do we work this out? They ended up paying me double, which I was fine, because I joke, I'm more glad to have my name on the check than on the credit. But for Tomorrowland, I got approached by somebody called up and said, we're doing a movie, and it's going to have a scene set at the World's Fair, and we want to recreate the street that went from the Kodak Pavilion to the Unisphere. Do you have pictures of that? And I said, yeah, sure. So I had to sign an NDA that they were working on a movie, but I didn't know anything about the name of the movie, who was in it, or whatever. And so they asked for all the pictures of that particular area, and I put them on a CD. And they literally came out to the house and paid me in $100 bills. Again, didn't want to give a company check or anything. I felt like a drug dealer. I mean, doorbell rang. I went to the front door. I handed them a couple of CDs. They handed me an envelope. I counted it. Thank you very much. A couple weeks went by and they asked, do you have more pictures of this? And I said, yeah. Came to the door, $100 bills. They left. And I did, by the way, put this on my taxes, so nobody can get me for that. But this went on about 3 or 4 times. So do you happen to have any pictures of this? And I said, yeah, I do. And I said, matter of fact, I said, and they said, can we come out and get them tomorrow? And I said, no, I won't be home tomorrow, but I'm going to be at the studio. I could drop them off for you. And the lady said, well, how do you know what studio? I said, well, you're at Disney. She goes, why would you think that? I said, because your phone number is you're calling from is 818-560 whatever. And I said, that exchange is all Disney. And she just about had a heart attack. Oh my God, nobody's supposed to know who's doing it or whatever. You can't tell anybody about that. I said, all right. And they later then switched to a burner phone, so all the numbers were coming out. So I worked on the World's Fair section of it, and little minutia, and I was very impressed by the details they went to. What did the pin look like that went on the Small World hostess's costume? And did they wear it on the left side or the right side? I mean, they were really down to that point. Then to the point of, okay, we're setting this in 1964. What was the entrance signs at the ticket booths that would have been there for the price and the hours that this thing ran? So all sorts of stuff that didn't show up, you know, I mean, it's there, but you have to really look at it. Then they wanted to take some liberties. If you look at the movie, they moved things around from one section of the fair to another to make it more photogenic. So I worked on helping them with sight lines and that. The other thing I did was I found the escorters that you can see, the 3 escorters going through. Well, actually, only 2 of them really worked. I found 3 of them and one kept breaking down. But they go through the movie and they added on like a science fiction sound effect, you know, when it goes by, as opposed to the, you know, the 2-cycle engine or whatever. You know, I found the escorters and arranged with the owners to get those there to Vancouver for the filming. So it was funny. We just went to a magic show last Saturday. A guy, matter of fact, I might have mentioned this. July 25th, I think it's going to be. If you're in the LA area, Greg Wilson is going to do a magic show based on the Hall of Magic from the World's Fair, because his father did all the magic show for it. And he was, when they were doing the movie Tomorrowland, they were trying to come up with things for, when they had it at the El Capitan Theater. I recommended Greg as a performer to do something before the show as a tie-in to, you know, the Hall of Magic. So he invited us to go out and he did his magic act, but it was really neat because he took us for his tour of the theater. We walked through the Wurlitzer organ with pipes as big as, you know, a tree, and others that are this tall and everything. But then at the movie, as he was getting ready, he did the show and goes, oh, wait, one of the guys that worked in the movie here, and gave me a nice shout out in the back of the theater. But then oh, hey, thanks, you're welcome. As soon as I got through the World's Fair part, I left because I really didn't think the rest of the movie really clicked for me. I mean, the whole thing of killer robots, and I mean, it's an okay film, but the World's Fair part, and they shot so much that they didn't use. You know, I mean, the whole thing down at the Carousel of Progress at Florida, and they did all sorts of stuff that maybe someday there'll be a director's cut.
What'd you do for Iron Man?
Oh, Iron Man, that was another fun one. They called me up and said we're doing they're building Stark Expo, and we're gonna have this sequence in there where Tony Stark's father talks to him and gives him all these clues and everything. So they wanted to know what a World's Fair a theme park designer's office would look like. So I worked with them. Okay, it's going to have charts, going to have maps, going to have uniform clothing samples and everything. So I helped design Tony Stark's office. Then we took the model of the World's Fair and again moved a few things around on it for sight lines. But one of the things we did was took out all the identifiable names and logos. So the World's Fair, we had the Carousel of Progress, but you take out the GE logo because you didn't want to get in trouble with GE, but now you could also sell it to Nike or Adidas or, you know, whatever to put their logos on it. So they built, and it was a giant, it was wonderful to go down and see it. The model of the World's Fair they built was wonderful, and the archive still has it in storage. but we would be down there. Well, maybe we'll take up this pavilion and put it over here, and you get down at table level and look, and let's put it back there. So yeah, again, I didn't get the credit for it, but I got the money. What was really nice when we did the D23 Destination Disney down at Florida to promote Tomorrowland, they had done a big thing with the World's Fair, and I was the opening speaker for that, and then I did a panel with Bob Gurr and that. But they brought out the art director from Tomorrowland, and he was like, we wanted to do it, and there was, we just couldn't. They couldn't find stuff, research stuff for it. And then he said a quote which I loved. He goes, "And then we met the miracle known as Bill Cotter." And that was I was really beaming, and that he gave me a really nice shout out in the New York Times too for my contribution. So I think the Times article may be on my website, but again, I didn't get the credit, but I got the paycheck, and that's what counted. It was fun. It was a fun project to work on. They were really nice people, and they really had, like I said, they could have just gone and shot anything. They really went to so much detail. Like, can you possibly find another picture to tell us, what was here, what was there, and how do we do it? So I really have to give them a giant applause for that.
Well, Giselle may want your autograph.
I always tell people when I sign books, I'm more than glad to sign it. That way you can't return it. So
thank you, sir.
Well, I hope folks enjoyed a trip back to the happiest place on earth. And
yeah, that was great, Bill. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, you're welcome, Irv. I think next week we'll be doing more Disneyland, and I think the week after that, if all goes well, I'm going to be gone for a week up to Seattle to see our granddaughter. And
ice cream time.
What's that?
Ice cream time.
Ice cream.
Yeah. I tell you, she's really funny. She's in this kick right now. She only wants to talk to grandma. So I'll answer them. They call it FaceTime, and I answer, "Hey, Charlene, how are you?" She goes, "Grandma, just grandma." Okay, yeah, but
don't take it personally.
Oh no, I don't. And then some days she doesn't want to talk to either one of the two of us. But she is she's a real cutie, and they just had a picture yesterday. They had some rabbits on their yard, and the rabbits, one rabbit goes to another rabbit and jumps so high. It's we're watching. It's like some spring-loaded thing going on. But they also got a bird feeder. Totally off the subject for anything. Amazon was having this really cheap sale for a bird feeder that you stick on your window that has a camera that triggers whenever a bird comes in and eats. So they got their first, and they said it takes a while for the birds to get used to it. So they got their first picture of it, and it was some round-headed something or a chickadee or whatever. So far, the only thing our bird camera has picked up is the pool man walking out to the pool, or me or Neil going out to sit in the backyard and read a book. The birds have not come to our camera yet, but we're hoping.
You got to get better food in the bird feeder.
We had a bird feeder out there for years, and just I got rid of it because they made such a mess. I mean, that's the whole big trouble with it. Stuff goes in, but stuff comes out. And so I said, okay, the new one I'll put in an area that's a little easier to clean and that sort of thing. So they just, we have a hummingbird feeder out there, and the hummingbirds just love that. But they'll show up to it eventually. And when they do, sometimes you'd be out there looking at the birds getting in a fight. The two birds of the same size will sit there happily on one side, on the other side. But sometimes the other birds would start, bigger bird come in and the little birds be chasing it off. And I felt like I was watching Disney's Nature's Half Acre. Well, I hope folks have a great day, and I will hopefully see you next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.